a flounder moment, and they're going to go, yeah!
You guys are good.
Tell us when you're ready.
You're good.
Oh, we're on.
9:59.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talkin Sports. I'm your congenial host, Bill Barrows. To my left is Jim Landrum. Down on the corner is Richard Harness. We've got Coach Steve McClure, and Coach recruited today's guest, Larry Vaughn. We talked a little bit about White's last month, I think it was,
Yeah.
maybe the month
Yeah.
before, and thought, you know what, good time to get Larry in here and talk about some of the things that went on at White's. Now, I'm going to start this off by, I did a lot of interviews at White's with both of you guys when you were coaching basketball. It was a whole lot different to interview you guys than it was to watch you deal with the kids. That was a contrast, but it was fun.
Is that good or bad?
I thought it was good. What do I know?
He didn't see behind closed doors.
So, Coach, this is yours to kind of lead because you guys spent an awful lot of time together for an awful lot of years. So, I'm going to let you start this off.
Well, you know, there's great history in Indiana and Wabash County high school basketball. I mean, it is something that's unbelievable. And of course, a lot of coaches get in it to just say, oh, I'm going to break this record and I want to see how many I can win and all that stuff. And, you know, this guy, you know, there's been great ones out there, no doubt about it. We had to compete against some of them, the Bill Patricks and Basil Mobbies and Mo Smedleys and all that. I've always, when people bring all that up to me though, I always say there's a challenge I want to see you match. I want to see you go to White's and win 100 games.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. Now this guy's crooked.
I have never heard that. All the years I've known you, I've never heard that before.
Well, here's the
Him
deal.
before.
I think it was probably in the fall of '86, that '87 year, and that was my first year at Northfield. And the year before, White's had put a hurting on Northfield.
Yeah.
They had you had 3 kids played college off that team.
Ed Patterson went on to the University of Detroit. I think he's the only one that went on to play college ball. I had some good players, though. I had Steve Whittam, who was the state's leading rebounder that year. He came to me at the beginning of the season and said, Coach, what do I need to get to lead the state in rebounding? I said, you'll need about 15 a game to make that happen. And he got 15.5 for the season.
Really?
Led the state. Our team was second or third in the state in rebounding that year.
Yeah, and like I said, '86 they beat Northfield. I went and watched that game. Well, then
That was hard.
summer,
I like Gary Baker. I really like Gary Baker.
and but we go through all that stuff, the interview, and I was one who said I'll never be a head coach in Indiana. Well, I hate those words.
I remember
Well,
he came to me. He was my junior high coach at the time.
Wow.
He was coaching 8th grade basketball at White's, and Northfield had offered me the job, and I didn't have a piece about it. And I'll go into that a little later about how I came to White's, how the Lord led me there.
Yeah.
And when I just thought about leaving, I just didn't have that piece. And I knew what they had coming up. They had 2 6'9" kids coming up, Joe and John Ross, that would be freshmen. And so I was pretty excited about that, but I didn't have a piece in my heart, so I turned it down. Steve calls me, says, do you care if I apply for that job? And I kind of snickered, like, yeah, go ahead. You're 8th grade coach at White's. You're going to go for that. And I'll tell you what, no one could have done the job that he did. I could not have done the job that he did. He was a bad goaltending call away in the semi-state of going to state. And it was a horrible call. I was sitting right there, saw the whole thing. Bad call.
Yeah.
I was sitting in the rafters and we thought for sure that it was a horrible call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hilliard Gates on the TV thing says, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
And
He's
so,
being nice.
yeah. But anyway, Clyde Lavelle and I, there's a fair basketball name, we're Larry's junior high coaches, and we're going to play Northfield. And here walk in these 2 tall 8th graders. I said, he says, those twins? I said, those are the ones, and stuff. And well, anyway, you know, and Larry mentioned the good Lord leads you to places where you don't always expect to be, but it's he plants you where you'll grow the best for him. And so I ended up with that. Well, we're playing whites. It's probably November, early in the season. And teams are out there warming up, and he slips over by me, elbows me a little bit, offers, that was $50.
Keep it fair, keep it
Get a $50 bill, and I said, what's that for? He says, be easy. I said, yeah, I saw how easy you were last year against Northfield. And I said, I get canned if I don't beat whites.
And he had those twins, so we practiced all week. We
Oh,
used
yeah.
hockey sticks, and we put hockey sticks
Yeah.
up to try to shoot
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And he played this 2-3 matchup zone, which my kids did not understand at all. If they saw a 2-3, they wanted to run their 2-3 offense. Well, you can't against a 2-3 matchup. It's almost a man-to-man. And he said, we're going to play 2-3. I said, no, you're going to play that 2-3 matchup, which he did. And but he was nice. Joe and John hardly saw the floor, I think, that night against us.
They played some as freshmen, but not as, we wanted to make sure they got plenty of minutes. They got all their quarters each night. And
Now, you don't know this, but these two guys not only coached together, they taught together.
Yeah.
And they had like the same basic office issue,
Yes.
the whole thing. How did the next morning go?
Oh. I'll tell you, we used to have Coach's Corner on Saturday morning at Jim Dandy's.
Right?
And the real Coach's Corner took place on Monday morning in the hallway at
There
White's,
you go.
because you had Sherm Knight, Lou Curlis, Chuck Gaither all sitting there peppering us
yeah,
with questions. That was harder than going to a radio to Jim Dandy's and eating breakfast and talking on the radio.
And there were times when I was doing the radio all those years ago, and I would come and tape the interviews with you guys if you couldn't make it.
yeah.
Mm.
Some of those interviews, especially with you, Larry, because after that was when White's kind of, I call it what you want to call it, de-emphasized sports.
Well, not so much de-emphasize, but the length of stay for the students changed.
Maybe that was it.
When I
Yeah.
first started at White's back in 1981, we kept kids for 2.5 years. So you had an opportunity to build a program. As time went on, that dwindled to the point it was 6 to 9 months at the most. And so who you had start the season in October was gone second half of the season, and you were getting
Yeah.
new kids in. So it really was
Basically
hard.
had tryouts in January.
When you say de-emphasize, we had to downgrade our schedule.
Yeah, that was.
We had to drop Northfield, we had to drop Southwood and some of those other schools that, it wasn't helping them, they were just wasting the game.
Right.
And so we tried to get our schedule in compliance with what we had to work with.
I just remember those were some of the hardest interviews, even though you and I would talk before we taped it. But some of those things were like, you were actually having re-tryouts in
Oh, yeah.
January.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yes.
replacing, in a lot of cases, replacing guys that not only had been in the system and understood it, but were really good athletes, and all of a sudden you've got nothing.
Well, that year, 85-86, when we ended up 16-5, had a great season. I turned down the Northfield job, and I thought, okay, Lord, I'm doing what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Next year, 0-20.
Yeah.
Didn't win a game.
Mm.
All those kids left, new kids came in. Loved the kids, loved working with them. They just weren't the same caliber of
How long
basketball
was your
player.
stay there, Bill? How long did you have to be there?
Yeah, but he coached me.
Hey, I'll tell you a story.
Well,
I
here we
grew
go.
up, I grew up on Miami Street here in Wabash, between Stitt Street and the high school.
Right.
And there was, when we were little, we walked to St. Bernard's every day to school. And my little brother would get in trouble doing whatever. And there was this white van that would come by every day. Whoever drove it must have lived on the north end of town. And it said White's Institute on the side of it. And my dad would go, if you don't straighten up, here's where you're going to be. And we had no idea at that point where White's Institute was.
Mhm.
We just knew when the old man said that, we knew we'd better start flying right in his eyes.
Okay, it used to be called White's Manual Labor Institute.
That's right.
Yeah.
All those years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that leads into a good, I think, segue to just share how I ended up at White's.
That was going to be one of my questions, because
and
I
I-
read Chuck's book, Chuck
Oh,
Gaither's
okay.
book.
Yeah.
I've got it. In fact, I loaned it to somebody. Anyway,
Did you know Steve had a book?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. It was, remember that book that Chuck got you? All I Know About Basketball?
Blank.
It's like 360 pages of nothing.
Wow.
He had it bound and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I loaned that to Oregon, and he's like, "You got that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He says, "Can I read it?" I'm like, "Sure." So I gave it to him a couple weeks ago. But reading Chuck's book and understanding how the process worked, I don't know, you're going to tell us. I'm guessing you went through some of the same things he did.
Well, I'll tell you, I went to Grace College. I'm from Pennsylvania. Went to a large high school in Pennsylvania, Altoona High School. We had 963 in my graduating class.
Wow.
Played basketball there. My older brother went to Grace, so I thought I'm gonna go there. So I went out and went out for the basketball team. At the time, the coach's name was Phil Hoskins. Coach Kessler, who the court's named after now, was the assistant at the time, and made it to the last day of tryouts. Coach Hoskins said, "I'll post a list on my office door. I'll be in my office the rest of the afternoon." I thought, I'm not worried. I made it. I got cut. My name wasn't on the list, and he was gone. He wasn't in his office. Coach Kessler was there, and he started talking to me about how he got cut from the Olympic team handball team so many years ago, and told me just hang in there, hang in there. Well, anyway, they fired Coach Hoskins, not because he cut me, but because I don't know the reasoning. But Coach K then came on and became the head coach, and I came out the next year and got to play my sophomore, junior, and senior year. Fell a little bit behind in my schooling, so I had to go an extra semester. And he said, "Why don't you coach the JVs that last year?"
College.
Yeah. And I fell in love with coaching. So I coached the JVs at Grace. We ended up 15-1. Got beat by Ancilla Junior College.
That's where my wife is right now.
Okay.
My wife is at a conference up there right now.
We played them 3 times that season, beat them twice, but on their court they beat us in overtime. Needless to say, it wasn't. Yeah. I think it was the dean of students and
JV coach.
But anyway, so then I'm graduating and wanted to teach phys ed. I wanted to coach, and I had a rough upbringing. I wanted to work with kids that had been in trouble. I had never heard of whites, never heard of it. So I started sending out applications to schools in Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan. Never heard back from anybody. I'm working in a lumber yard in Warsaw, American Home Center, and Rich Davis, the superintendent of whites, who I did not know, he came up to buy some stuff from the lumber yard, which to me was odd because there's all kinds of lumber yards here.
Yeah.
Why he came to Warsaw, I don't know, but he did. And my job was, I was the Toby. I was in the back warehouse. If you got 20 sheets of paneling, I loaded 20 sheets of paneling. If you got railroad ties, that was my job. But I had my high school letter jacket on, and he came back. And we started talking. He said, "Are you from Altoona?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Our admissions director, Herb Hobson, is from Altoona."
Yes. Until you said that, it didn't hit me.
Yeah. So we had a conversation. He asked me what I was doing. And I said, I'm finishing up my schooling. I want to teach. I want to coach. And I want to work with kids that have been in trouble. He got a big grin on his face. He says, "I might have a job for you." So the next day,
baby.
Gail and I were married. Gail and I went down and we visited whites, and no contract signed, a handshake, and that was that.
Wow. All those years ago.
And then that was 44 years of being there.
Wow.
Yeah.
44 years.
So,
I had a similar thing as how I got the whites. I was at Oak Hill for 10 years, junior high industrial arts, and we had pretty well seen we were going to live in Wabash County.
Did they have industrial arts at Rising Sun? They had everything else.
They had the Southeast Indiana Vocational School. Yeah, we had industrial arts. My dad,
Get out there and hammer that thing.
he was captain in World War II. When he said that, my 2 brothers and I, we sprinted.
I can remember when I grew up on a farm, and he'd say, "Hey, run over and get me a wrench." And if you didn't run over and get
Yeah.
you did run. Yeah, exactly.
You were on the clock.
I get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, going to the Friends Church there, and I got to know Lou and some of them there, and one day after church is over, Lou kind of stands over me, and he's taller and says, "I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay."
Taller?
taller? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he says, I want to talk to you about a job opportunity. And in my mind, I thought Lisa had taught at White's in the summer and, doing that. And he says, and I'm not talking summer school. And I thought, what's going on here? I knew then I was had, because the good Lord was the master of that plan. And he said, well, I want to talk to you about teaching here at White's. And he says, can you come over every Wednesday? And I said, yeah. So I went home and told Lisa that, and I said, there ain't any way I'd teach over there.
Funny, in Chuck's book, he said the same thing.
And I told Lisa, she says, well, you need to go at least talk to Lou. I mean, he's been a good friend and all that stuff. By the time 15 minutes was over, I said, where do we sign? Free lunch, free groceries.
Hour and a half for lunch.
Hour and a half for lunch, unless you had a prep period after that,
Yeah.
and then you had 2.5
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I thought, sold.
Well,
I mean,
and they had to do that because they had to get all the kids through lunch. You had 11 cottages,
Mhm.
and at that time there was over 200 kids, so they had to get everybody through lunch at that time. And so yeah, that was very nice. But my first year, Rich didn't tell me this when I was going to coach basketball. He said, "Hey, I want you to coach soccer too." I'm like, "What?" So I don't know anything about soccer. And he said, "Well, it'll get you to know the kids before basketball season." So I went to the soccer coach
Smart
at
move
Grace.
on his part.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't the head coach. So I went to the soccer coach at Grace, and I said, "What do I do?" He said, "Any drill you can do with basketball, you can do with soccer. Just use your feet and not your hands."
Mhm.
So we were doing suicides on the soccer field, and we were doing three-man weave on the soccer field. But Clyde Lavelle was the head coach for both soccer and basketball.
I cannot picture Clyde as a soccer.
Oh, I
coach.
can picture him right now with a 6'9" and them little shorts on. But so first season coaching soccer, August, hot day. Clyde goes on vacation. I'm a rookie, and I've got 26 kids, and it was real hot. So I said, "Hey, let's warm up in the gym, do our stretches in the gym at the little cooler, and then we'll go out on the field." And they're like, "Yes, that sounds good, coach." So we get out on the field. On the way out, one boy says, "Hey, coach, can I use the restroom?" I'm like, "Okay, go ahead, hurry up and catch up with us." I'm not thinking anything, rookie. And so we're out on the field. We're getting ready to scrimmage. He's my goalie, and he still hadn't come out yet. It's been about 10 minutes. So I sent a manager in. I said, "Hey, go see what's." His name was Scott.
He's on the lamb.
Go see what's taking Scott so long. You're right.
Oh.
Eventually. And so he goes in. He doesn't come back out. And I had one more manager. I sent him in, and the first manager comes out, and he said, "This has been a half hour now." He says, "Hey, Scott needs a roll of toilet paper." I'm like, "Dude, it's taking a half hour to figure that out. I said, tell him to get his butt out here now." So he goes back in. Nobody comes out. House parent comes flying across the field in his car. He says, "Did you lend your car to anybody?"
Oh, no.
I'm like, "No." And so what they had done, Clyde says, "Give the keys to the manager," because they need to get in and do things in the gym and that. So I give them the keys to my manager. Well, they got in my office, got in my briefcase, got the car keys, and took off. Those three.
Wow.
And I told Rich Davis, I said, "They're not going to get very far." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, that car needs new tires. I was going to put new tires on it this weekend." Well, they broke into somebody's house, stole money, put new tires on it, and kept going. And so they would go
We got some
to,
new tires on the
Yeah.
Do you feel like an enabler at this point?
they went to self-serve gas stations, filled up, took off, just kept going. So I'm on vacation in Ohio, and Rich Davis calls me and says, "Hey, we found your car." I was like, "Great, where is it?" He said, "Florida." They got all the way to Florida with it. I said, "Well, how'd they get caught?" He said, "Well, they went to a Howard Johnson's restaurant, motel, and said, they got breakfast and said, 'Build us to our room.' And they found out they didn't have a room. And then they found out they were fugitives from the state of Indiana. So they said, 'You want to go get it? You want us to go get it?' I said, 'No, I'm on vacation. You guys go get it.' So they drove down, and they put all three boys. This was a Chevy Monza Spider, a little car.
Oh, I had one of those
Okay,
for
like a
college,
Cavalier.
after college.
Yeah, and it's hatchback, so they laid it down, cuffed them, laid them all back, and drove all the way back.
20 hours.
20 hours. And so they get back, and that following Monday, whenever it was, I had all three of them in class, in phys ed class. and the word was out, coach is going to kill you, coach is after you. And so each one came into class and just looked me in the eye, and I shook their hand and said, hey, I forgive you for what you did. I had them right where I wanted them. Because they're not used to that. They're looking for retaliation.
Oh, yeah,
so they're
sure.
looking over their shoulder the rest of the semester. When's coach going to get even? And the one boy turned his life around, came to know the Lord, walking the straight and narrow. Can't say the same for the other two. They ended up in more trouble and moved on. But to finalize that story,
333, man.
Yeah, that's not bad. Get you in the Hall of Fame.
to finalize that story, I'm getting my master's degree at Ball State with that car. And so come out at night after class and it won't start. So we had to leave it there and call for another ride. The next morning I get a call from the Muncie Police Department. Hey, we found your stolen car. I'm like, great, it's not stolen anymore. And they're like, well, why didn't you tell us? I'm like, I'm supposed to call every police station in the state? My car's been
from here
recovered.
in Florida.
I said, how did you know it was stolen? It came out on the wire. Well, then somebody should have put it out on the wire that it was recovered. So I got it back. Pop Dreher, I don't know if you know Daryl Dreher, he was an auto mechanic there, and he's like, Larry, you need to get rid of that car. He said, besides it's bad luck, he said it's a mess. so we got rid of it.
Gail was ready for that.
Yeah, I had another one that almost got stolen many years ago. We had tryouts. Big kid tried out, but it just wasn't very good. So I had to cut him. He was mad, and I came out to go home.
You're talking basketball. You're not soccer, right?
Basketball. And I came out and I looked under the steering wheel, and all this plastic's on the floor of my vehicle. He had tried to hotwire it, and he wasn't good. And about the same time, I'm going to go tell somebody there's somebody trying to run away. They had already caught him. He was back in the cottage. So I say I had 1.5 stolen.
I got initiated to the run thing. It was my first year there. I was, Clyde Lavelle and I were the junior high coaches, and we're having practice one day, and Beef. He was our
Denny Franks.
Denny Franks. He was our custodian.
I remember him.
Yeah.
We're out there in practice, and all of a sudden, boom, the door opens. Of course, you think it's a runaway, and here comes Beef, and he says, hey, can I borrow Bailey? That was one of my players, and he was the fastest runner I had. And I said, yeah. Well, he says, we got some runaways out there. So I said, go, Bailey, and he takes off, and Clyde looks, and he says, you ever chased a runaway? I said, not yet. He says, go ahead. So I went out and with him, and we got in a pickup truck. And the kids, there's a couple of them running out through a hayfield, so we're bouncing out there, chasing them down in a truck. And he had Bailey and a couple other students, and he pulled up along and said, all right, go get them. Boy, they went and tackled him. A couple of them lift them up, throw them in the back of the pickup truck, haul them to the central office.
Did it happen a lot? Kids running away?
Not so much anymore.
No.
Really?
No. It was more so when I first started.
Yeah.
And see, I lived on campus my first couple years, and part of that, living on campus, you had a weekend duty. So there was 1 weekend a month you were on duty. So if anybody ran on that weekend, you had to go get them. You had to chase them.
You're responsible for actually physically going and finding them?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
You
And so there was
you don't get law enforcement involved?
No, we try not to.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we do if it's so
No.
long and we can't get them, then they'll
Yeah.
say, hey, we had runaways, be on the lookout.
Yeah.
So we had a couple girls ran, and I didn't know the girls. I didn't know who they were. And so I'm just driving along 124, and these two little heads pop up like bunnies out of the ditch. And so I thought, that's got to be them. So I go, and the first thing you do is you check their collar, because their shirts are all tagged with their cottage number, cottage 11, and what the room number is. So I just went like that. I said, get in. Well, we're not from White. I said, well, it says you're in cottage 10, room 7. So yes, you are. And so they got in. But
Well, yeah, it's not something I ever thought about connected. Those are great stories.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you make me think I may have missed my calling. I was volunteering with Youth for Christ.
Running them down. You weren't that fast.
Well, no, I got a great story for you here. Every year we take a high school kids trip down to Florida, take a bunch of high school kids, and we're responsible for them. One year we went to Lauderdale, and it was a camp. There was no fence or anything, but it was a camp out on its own. One of the last nights we were there, it's been a long week, a couple track kids didn't want to get in the, what do you call them, the cabins. And so they keep running around all over the compound. Well, we can't let them be out there running around. We chased them, we did everything we could. We were not as fast as they were, right? Finally, it dawned on me. I had an old farmer once who served in the Army, and he said, whenever you're doing something at night, get in the shadows. And so I started looking out there, and there's one big tree in the middle of this big old open area.
So that's how my old man learned that.
Hey, I said, guys, you chase them across this field, and I'm gonna be standing in the shadow of that tree.
Yep.
And when they come across that field, I'm gonna bury them. And sure enough, they weren't very big kids, you know.
Yeah.
They're track guys. They come running across this field, and I'm coming. They don't know I'm anywhere around, and I clotheslined this kid and put him right on his back, and he's there going, I think I killed him. And then guess what? They went to bed. So the next morning I go to breakfast, and I said, man, are you okay? I mean, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. He didn't do that again. So I can relate a little bit to
Yeah.
what you're saying
Oh,
here.
yeah.
We used to play jailbreak in the neighborhood, and that's what my dad used to do. He'd come out, nobody knew he was there, and he would get in the shadows, and when one of us ran through, it didn't matter who it was, he'd just tackle you. I'm like, what the heck?
So
What are we doing here?
What that reminds me of is Cornell restraint. You remember that term?
Oh, yeah.
So Steve and I taught phys ed together
Mhm.
for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And
We
every
didn't
now and
have any
again,
fun, though.
I'm sure.
we'd have to physically restrain a student. And there was a proper way to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things you were supposed to do, once you had them restrained, I mean, they're going to be cussing at you and calling you names and being real belligerent. You're just supposed to be quiet, don't say anything. And so Steve was on the front end of this two-man restraint, and I'm on the back, and this kid's just calling him every name in the book. And if I get up, and Steve's like, whoa, you had it once, and you didn't get up. And I tapped him, I said, Steve, you're supposed to be quiet.
Yeah, if you're so bad, get up and do something.
I mean, we were doing it the proper way, but I watched some of the other administration, not on the school side, but on the residential side, like Darrell Boone,
Oh,
and some of those
boy.
guys, D. Gibson. When they restrained somebody, I mean, it was forearm to the chin and down they went, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not in the book. That's not how you're supposed to do it.
Well, we're big old boys.
And then they'd write it up, Cornell restraint.
Yeah, I was just saying, they'd say, just get them under control, we'll write it up however we need to.
Wow.
And he won 100 games coaching with all that going on. That's where I challenge any coach that thinks he's really something special, come on in and do it.
Now, my first year at White's as basketball coach, Clyde Lavelle was the head coach. And I didn't know Clyde when I first got there. I'd heard the name through the years, but here's a guy that had a high school championship at Terre Haute, Gertzmeyer, Kansas national championship,
Right.
played in the Helsinki Olympics, got a gold medal in '52, that's before I was born, and then went to play in the NBA. He has a picture in the office when I went in of him and Wilt Chamberlain going at it. And Wilt broke his finger, and he never had it fixed. So when Clyde would call timeout, it was the biggest timeout you'd ever see, 6'9", and he'd be going, and he'd whistle, and I want that timeout. Well, the one finger was going like this, And I'd say, well, which way do you want him to go, Clyde? To the left or to the right? But anyway, so I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna learn a ton off of this guy. The game came very easy to Clyde as a player, and so we get together. He blows the whistle first practice and calls the boys in. I'm like, all right, here we go. He's like, what do you guys want to do? Oh, Clyde, you know what they're going to say. They want a scrimmage. Of course, that's what they said. Let's scrimmage. And so I said, oh, I can't do this. So I talked to him afterwards. I said, hey, you tell me what you want to do, and I'll break it down, drill-wise, and we'll do some drills, and then they'll have a chance to scrimmage at the end. So he was the head coach for 2 years. I was the JV coach. And Chuck Gaither knew I wanted to become a head coach.
This is about the time I started paying attention.
Yeah.
Because Clyde was the head coach 1 year, and I knew you were the JV coach.
Yeah, 2 years. And so I said to Chuck, I said, yes, I would love to be the head coach here. I said, if I don't get it, I really have to pray about it, but I really like to do it here. So they started a GED program after my second year. And they asked Clyde if he would want to do that, knowing that if he did that, he wouldn't be able to coach anymore. It would take too much time. And he was good with that. He wanted to do that. So he went into the GED program. I became the head coach. Chuck says, what do you need? And he caught me off guard. I mean, I could have had a list. And
Should have said 269 guy.
Yeah. All I said was,
that helps.
I didn't have a phone in my office. I said, I need a phone.
There you go.
He said, oh, done. And then he walked away, like, that's it, that's all you get. So I'm excited about, my first year being the head coach. We win our first game against Knightstown. Well, it wasn't Knightstown High School, it was Morton Memorial, which was a children's home,
Right, I
Soldiers and
remember
Sailors
that.
children's home. And beat them easily. This is easy. Didn't win another game that year.
Oh,
Went 1-19 for that season. And you get to sectional. We were in the Huntington North sectional, and Huntington Catholic was in there, who was similar to us.
Right.
Not as far as kids, but size-wise, and they were in our conference. We were in the Midland Athletic Conference. It
I
was
remember
Marion
that.
Bennett,
My
Fort Wayne
gosh.
Christian, Huntington Catholic, and us. There might have been somebody else, but at that time, I think that was about it. And so I'm looking for the draw, and always excited, give me Huntington Catholic, Huntington North.
North.
Of course.
1-19, and we draw Huntington North. And I don't even remember who the coach was at that time, but I think at one of those seasons they had Gary Paul and Brian Reeder.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good team.
Jim knows all those
Would
names.
Glenn
Yep.
have been there? Glenn Heaton?
It might have been Glenn. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not sure who it was, to be honest. But so we were going to play a triangle and two.
Mhm.
My guys didn't understand that completely, but we put them in a triangle and then we chased Paul and Reeder, and they ate us up. And so that was that year where those kids left and got a new bunch in, and this was a pretty good group my second year. I had James Bragg and Rocky Thomas and Steve Whittam.
Shoot, I remember those names.
And I forgot to tell you, Mark Dubuque then was my JV coach. Mark was in charge of recreation at White's when I first started. And I really liked Mark, and I liked what he stood for in that. And I said, hey, will you be the JV coach? And he jumped right on that. And so he was my JV coach. That second year, we went 12-8. We drew Wabash in the sectional. And that was when I think Harry Frick was the coach at that time.
Could have been.
And Mark went and scouted Wabash, and he said, they cannot shoot from out. So pack it in. Okay. So we play 2-3, we pack it in. Wabash comes down, hits their first 3 shots from outside. I said, Mark, you told me they couldn't shoot from out. He said, just be patient. I said, we're down 6-0 right now. Well, then they started missing, and Ed Patterson caught fire, and we started coming back. Well, I ended up beating them 72-59. That's one that sticks out. And Ed had a dunk at the end to top it off. Ed was 6'5",
Mhm.
and I played him at a 3. He didn't play underneath. He played out on the wing. 'Cause
He
could
played
hand-
college
could
in
handle the ball.
Michigan,
He went
didn't he?
University of Detroit. Ed is one that still calls me on Christmas to just ask how
Oh,
I'm
love
doing.
that.
He lives in Texas, owns a construction company, and still gives me a holler. Well, something he doesn't call, he'll be on Facebook. Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Nice.
I love that
So
kind
that's
of
nice, And then the next year was the culmination of that real good team. We ended up 16-5, and when did we beat? We beat Norfolk in the regular season, but I'm not sure who we drew, and that's probably why we must have got beat in the sectional because I don't remember it.
Just block that out.
Understood.
But some of the things we did that other schools wouldn't even think of doing, we had an effort and attitude contest. And so what I did was,
Well, sure, it wasn't focus and effort, because Rick has a great speech.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
focus
yeah.
and effort.
Yeah, anytime you need it.
We'd be coaching high school baseball together, and he'd go, all right, everybody, gather around. And I'd look at the other guy that was helping us coach, and I'm going,
Bill
here
embellishes the
here
story.
comes the focus and effort speech.
now we have that now. I'm coaching track out at Northfield, and Coach Lemming is
Oh,
still
yeah.
helping us. And he's got the track named after him.
Of course,
And so when he speaks, you just,
yeah,
yep,
take it in.
listen, take it in.
Take it in.
But anyway, I had an effort and attitude contest that I started. And so every day in practice, I would grade the kids 0 to 5. I want your best effort and your best attitude. And we kept track. I had a chart in the locker room. And man, there's days I couldn't wait to get in there and give somebody a 0. And there was other days, I was excited. Everybody got a 5 today. And so what we did was we kept track. And at the end of the first semester, whoever was the overall winner, White's was gracious enough. I could take a varsity player and a JV player. We'd take them to Indianapolis, go out to eat. Very nice. We'd go to Steak and Ale
Oh, yeah.
in Indy.
Oh, yeah.
They were out of their element. And then we'd go to a Pacer game.
Why would you?
Oh,
okay.
man.
All right.
You know,
Yeah.
so that was great.
Sure.
But we'd get the Steak and Ale, and I said, guys, just do what I do. So we get there. I said, put your napkin on your lap. Each one of them would take their water cup, lift it up, take the doily, and put it on their face. And they're like, Coach, I got 2 knives. Just just do one. I don't care which one you use, just use one. And then we go to the Pacer game, and they just ate it up. They loved it.
Sure.
And so it was very nice for whites to be able to do that.
So I'm assuming that gets around to the rest of those kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then one of the other things I did was because we ran a lot. I mean, they had to be in shape, and I would have a Bible verse each week, and if they memorized that Bible verse, they could knock off a suicide that day.
Ooh,
All they had to
I've been all over
do,
that.
beginning of practice, we always started with prayer. Does anybody know the verse? Oh, I got it, Coach. And they'd say the verse, and they'd get one knocked off.
Nice.
I'd have been all over
So
that.
yeah, it was
Absolutely.
had that freedom to be able to do what I wanted. I think we started an FCA movement there,
Yeah.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. They had chapel every day, Monday through Thursday, but not on Friday. So then we would do Fellowship of Christian Athletes on Friday. And man, that our old gym, the bleachers were packed with boys coming in, and we'd get different speakers to come in.
When I came on the scene, it was good for me to see the spiritual conviction that Larry and the staff had. And, just knowing that, hey, you were allowed to do that in this
Yeah.
school. Public school, they didn't really
Yeah.
want you doing all that.
But we were considered a public school.
Yeah.
Part of MSD.
Right.
I remember Clyde and I, though, we went to Fort Wayne for a junior high game, and the kids won. And of course, on the bus ride back there, screaming and yelling and asking Clyde all these questions about basketball. And yeah. And finally got quiet, and I said, Clyde, I'm going to ask a question. Just forgive me if it's out of line, but I said, you would rather talk about Christ than you would basketball. And he grabbed me and says, finally, somebody understands.
But to look at that guy, his stature, and to be around him at all, if you didn't know that,
Yeah.
to me, from the outside looking in, if you didn't know that,
Yeah.
you would have never figured it out.
Mhm.
Once somebody said it.
Yeah.
I remember even when he was like one of the county sheriff's deputies and all that, he was counseling prisoners,
Yeah.
and when it was unconventional to do so.
I remember Clyde, we used to be able to give swats. Three swats, paddle.
I remember that.
Yeah. And so there were times where Clyde would call a kid in, but before he'd paddle him, he would tell him what he did wrong, explain it. Now, do you understand? Now you're going to get 3. I mean, those were 3 of the biggest swats because he would tap the ceiling with the paddle.
Oh, man.
And then here it came, boom, boom.
And I'll bet he didn't say, this is gonna hurt me more
No,
than it's
no,
gonna hurt
no. But you know what the neat part of that situation was? Just the threat of 3 swats made a kid straighten up.
Mhm.
Hey, knock it off or you're going to get 3. I'm sorry, coach.
I can remember you guys, when we were sitting in there, either before or after interviews, and somebody would, you want 3? I remember asking Steve at one point, what's that mean? And he told me.
Yeah. And then we had great house parents. Back in the early days, the house parents were a mom and a dad. They were actually a husband and a wife, and the kids called him mom and pop. And there were times when I had a kid so out of control, I'd call the cottage and say, hey, you need to come over. And he would come over. I mean, he would just get in his face. If you ever do that again, I'm sorry, Pop, I'm sorry. It never happened again. It's like, man, I'm going to put you on my staff. Because, I mean, they ruled the roost. The house parents did. Now, you can't SWAT at White's anymore.
Right.
That was taken away a long time ago. Just so I don't want anybody thinking, oh, they're still swatting out there.
When that happened, did you go, dang it?
There goes one of our tools.
That was a big tool.
When I was in
Oh,
junior,
yeah.
when I was in junior high, the principal, Mr. Atchison, he would wait till class ended and everybody's passing through the hall. That's when he'd bring one out and give them some wax.
Oh, yeah.
So they
And,
could
so everybody could
yeah,
see
everybody
it.
see it.
got-
Yeah.
And he was a stocky guy, a little burly guy, and he did not let up. I mean, he reared back and he hit him as hard as he could.
How did it feel?
It just rang.
Yeah.
I still don't sit down long. You got permanent bruising. But it rang through echoed through that hallway, and it's just,
In those old buildings.
Mhm.
Oh,
the
yeah.
old Van Buren Junior High
Mhm.
building, yeah.
Wow.
I remember it very well. I never wanted to get hit by him. Scared me to death.
And one of the other things that Northfield, Southwood, Wabash, anybody, when you go on a road trip, you didn't have to worry about home visits.
Oh,
So I had a Saturday afternoon game down at Knightstown, and I always would check with the AD, anybody have a home visit? And he would tell me, yes, so-and-so is gonna be leaving after the game, he won't be coming back with you, his parents will
Going
be
to their
there.
home?
They're going, they have a home visit, yeah, kids get
Okay.
home visits, which makes sense, you
Yeah.
can't be locked up that long and then, okay, go home.
Yeah.
You know, so every so often they'd get a home visit, and they had to earn it,
Yeah.
based on level system. And so anyway, we got this one away game down at Knightstown, and nobody had a home visit. And so I'm going to the game, and this one boy comes up to me and says, hey, Coach, I got a home visit after the game. I said, oh, interesting. I said, I just talked to the AD, and he said, nobody had one today. Well, it just got confirmed. I'm like, yeah, right, okay. So I'm not a rookie anymore. I knew
No,
this.
you got this figured out.
Yeah. So parents are at the game, and they came to me and said, hey, we're going to take so-and-so after the game. I said, well, he doesn't have a home visit. And they said, well, it just happened. I said, well, I'm telling you, he doesn't have a home visit. So I said, you can take him, but as soon as you get in that car, I'm writing down your license plate and sending it to the police. He got back on the bus.
Yeah.
Veteran move.
A rookie would, at my first year, I'd have said, okay, have a good time.
Get him out of here.
Yeah.
So did you ever have kids that had a tough enough home life they didn't want one?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck talked about that
Yeah.
in the book.
Home was a mess. They
Mhm.
didn't want to go back home. They would
He had a
they'd rather
guy
get into foster care.
back in like the either late 60s, early 70s, and he talks about it in the book, where kid was from the Indianapolis area, did not want to go home, and Mr. Curlis, Bob Curlis, Big Bob,
Yeah, yeah.
he had to go to Indianapolis for something, and he saw this kid just walking on the
Oh,
street
yeah.
and pulled over, and he said, this is a pretty prominent player, by the way, as it turned out, but I'm not going to talk about who it was. But anyway, said, I want to go back with you, Mr. C.
Mm.
And he said, you can't. You have to, you know, you've served your time. You have to stay here.
Yeah, that's when it's hard.
And he was like, what do I have to do to get back up there with you?
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
Break the law.
Break the law.
Mr. C didn't bite, but he took him home. Next thing you know, he was up there with him because he wanted to be where there was structure.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Chuck talked
You-
about that.
You remember Marcus Woodson?
Mhm.
I don't know if you remember the day he was getting released, but he came to the gym and he was in tears
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hugging us and
Yeah.
everything, and I don't want to go back. And
Yeah.
he had a
He's
fair,
Fort Wayne, wasn't
yeah.
Yeah.
And people have asked me before, who's the
It's
best
Rob
athlete?
Woodson's
Yeah.
cousin
Yes.
or
Is it
Yeah.
Rod Woodson?
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, people have
He's a good
asked me,
athlete.
who's
Oh.
the best athlete to ever coach? I said, that's easy, Marcus Woodson. We did all right in track at some
Yeah.
8th grade track. But anyway, he just came over to the gym and we encouraged him, listen, Marcus, you've shown here that you can go to Fort Wayne and do it right. Get out there, make your grades, get an athlete and go. And he got shot 3 weeks later. I don't think it killed him because he came to precincts.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
His retirement party.
Mm.
But that's the heartbreak of working at White's, and of course there again, we're talking about school line stuff, and Larry gets to go coach, take all them, form a team and coach.
Now, I remember Dave Fulkerson, when Dave was there. Dave was the AD at White's and the head basketball coach, and he used to tell me stories how he taught driver's ed at White's.
Oh my!
He said what he used to do was he'd tell the kid, go start the car, I'll be out.
No.
And about 40 minutes later, he'd tell him, shut it off, that's it for the
You did a
day.
good job.
But he said he used to go different cities and just, I don't think he did, but he said he'd just drop his keys down and hopefully a big guy would come by and pick him up and then they'd get him arrested. But he took care of us. When he became AD at Warsaw, and we'd
Oh,
go up
yeah.
to semi-state up there to watch, and I'd have a group of kids, and we were gonna have to pay to get in, and he said, Dave, I got this one. And so he said, come on in. I said, what do we owe you? He said, that's the White's discount. You just let us come in.
I
He
just
said,
remember-
go to the hospitality room, get what you want.
I just remember Dave telling me, 'cause when I was in the sporting goods business all those years ago, I would go up and wait on or call on him, selling uniforms, whatever.
Mhm.
I'd get to listening to him tell stories, and he said he was coaching and teaching at White's, doing all, kids would do all this stuff or whatever, and he's like, boys, I grew up here. I
Yeah,
know
you
you're not going to pull anything on me that I haven't already done.
Yeah. And that was the other thing he helped me out with, was at his store that he had in Warsaw.
Yeah.
It was Champs, I think was the name of
Yep,
it.
Champs.
I'd go in there and buy some coaching shorts, and again, whoever's running the cash register, he'd be like, I got this one, and he'd stuff it in a bag and say, here, and I'd say, well, what are these? So that's the white's discount.
Wow.
Was it the old bike C550?
Yeah, yeah.
You bet. I had one. I had a pair of those in every color.
And that's the ones I picture Clyde in right now.
Yeah.
6'9" with those shorts.
You know, little,
Yeah.
my gosh.
I always teased him. I said, Clyde, I've seen more meat on soup bones than on those legs, man.
It's funny. That is kind of because he, as storied as he was as a player, he wasn't some huge
No,
stout.
he's just tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, he could play.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. He had that hook.
Yep.
He had a hook shot.
And it was left-handed.
Yeah.
He told me one time when he's in the NBA, Boston's playing LA, and they're walking in, and the Lakers have finished up practice, and Wilt and them are trying to get a quarter off the top of the backboard. They couldn't do it. I guess Clyde put his bag down and says, went up there and got it, flipped it, here you go.
In street
And he
shoes.
says then we head for the locker rooms.
And he probably did it in street shoes.
Yeah, they just gotten off the bus or whatever. So he can play.
I love that kind of stuff. I love those stories. Those are the types of, you don't hear a lot of those
Yeah.
anymore. And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know. So, how long have you been retired now from Whites?
Last June 25th.
Really?
Was my last day.
I thought it was longer than that.
No,
Really?
last year. Yep,
So 44 years?
44 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Miss it.
Wow.
At times, I still go out. I go out once a month, take donuts to the staff, catch up on them, see how they're doing. The basketball coach out there is Nate Plyler, and he called me early in the season and said, hey, can you come out and help us put in a 3-2 zone? I was like, Nate, you're good enough. You know how to do this. But I went out and helped him do it. He's struggling with the same thing. The kids are just leaving.
Yeah.
He has them, then they're gone, and again, but he's in the same mold as I was. It's not about the win, it's about
Are they still
helping
part of the
these kids.
IHSAA and they're?
No,
They're not, I
No.
didn't think so.
no. They're playing Emmanuel, some homeschool teams.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're trying to get whoever they can.
It's more
Is
of
that a
rec-
better situation than
It
being
is for
a
our
part of
kids.
IHSAA?
Yeah, definitely.
Is it?
Definitely. Yeah.
they're-
Just from the
They
position
can
that we're in.
compete better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when my last years in coaching, it was just to that point where, man, we had a hard time competing with Emmanuel, and nothing against Emmanuel, but it was hard to compete with them where
When I was in
earlier.
high school, I remember guys like Tim Sailors and John Mack.
Oh, yeah.
You guys
Those are
didn't
some
seem
studs.
to have any trouble competing then.
No.
No, those guys were good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember them.
Yeah. Sailor.
Sailor, Maggot,
Brewer.
Mike McDonald,
Brewer.
Elix Brewer.
Yeah.
Their track team was even better than
Yeah.
the basketball team.
1973 mile
relay.
Mile relay.
Yeah.
They're going into the Track Hall of Fame this spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That banner was in the gym. Now it's in a storage closet. I don't know why they took
Really?
it down, but it's.
They need
And I,
to put that
I,
new
I
badge
was on
up.
Chuck constantly about getting the wooden floor. We had that tile floor.
Oh, yeah.
in the
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, the heat would be on, people would open the door and the cold would come in, and that'd be just like a sheet of ice.
Oh, yeah.
And
We
I
should have
said-
had hockey.
Yeah, I said, I kept telling Chuck, somebody's gonna fall, somebody's gonna get hurt, we're gonna get sued. And we didn't get sued, but somebody fell and got hurt. And the next year, we had a wooden floor. Yes.
It was a beautiful wooden floor.
Oh, yeah. And then I wanted breakaways. We didn't have breakaway rims.
No kidding.
No, not for the longest time. And then I got Ed Patterson. I said, Chuck, if we don't get breakaway rims,
You're gonna have
we're gonna have a broken rim, we're gonna have to forfeit the game. And so in practice, he came over, he said, let me see Ed dunk. I said, well, you wanna see other kids dunk too? Because I said, Steve Whittam can do it too. And so they put on a little show, and he's like, okay. So,
Well,
he got
but
it.
from the athletic director's standpoint,
Oh, yeah.
breakaway rims are not cheap.
No.
By any means,
no.
still weren't,
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah.
But
What, $300?
Yeah, but I mean, it became a necessity.
Yeah, you had to have it.
I was just thinking you could have Tim Sailor come over and work out a little
Yeah.
bit. He could have torn it
Yeah,
down.
he could
He
still
was
do
a
it.
big guy.
He was before my time. Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
just heard that name. I never knew.
I'll tell you what, the guy to me, and this is before both of your times probably, but I know you know the name. Those guys were intimidating, but to me, the best athlete of the bunch was a guy by the name of Jim Brasher.
Oh, yeah.
Jim
That
Brasher.
name, yeah.
Chuck talks about all of those guys in that book, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to
That's
keep
okay.
referencing the book, but
Yeah.
that was one of the things
That's
that
one Bill read. Maybe the only one.
Rick, it's only about that thick.
That ball four.
Literally.
Had pictures.
He read Chuck.
Had pictures.
Yeah.
Had some
That's a-
pictures.
He read Chuck's book in ball 4. And none of them,
And
and none
Steve's
of them
basketball
had,
book.
Yeah.
none of them had pictures in it either.
But he talks about those guys specifically and what he did, and you've talked about some of these already, some of the stuff, some of the things that he did to motivate those kids to give their best effort. He didn't go into the specifics like you did, which that's real, that's genius.
That's
That is
fantastic.
genius.
Genius,
But where it's,
Well, yeah.
But he talked about, like Elix Brewer, he would talk about him being the guy who would make sure that the kids were on the straight and narrow when they were in the house stuff, in the house environment. And he would give them a chance. This is Elix now. He would give them a chance to straighten up.
Mm.
And if he didn't, he would tell them a second time, and then he'd go to the house parent or to Chuck or whoever, and it would be dealt with. But he said that was part of when you talked about earlier, the manual labor thing, that was part of it. And they didn't want to have to go out and chop wood or do whatever, but that's what they did.
Well, I mean, before I got there, my understanding was the kids went to school for a week and they worked on the farm for a week.
Yes.
And it went back and forth. And that wasn't that way when I started there. But
Tell me this, I should know this, but I don't remember. Where was the football field? Because I know White's had a
yeah,
football
it
field.
was right behind the school. That's where the soccer field was,
Mhm.
and that was the football field when they.
When
had
there
football.
were pine trees out there,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's a
Because-
lot of kids would take off through the pines.
Only when you had a rookie.
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
I can remember when I was in high school and I had a job putting up billboards. Bob Beecham and Fred Squires hired Rick Grimm and I, there's a name,
Yeah. I know, Rick.
hired Rick Grimm and I to put up billboards, and we would have to go out past Southwood and put some of those up. They were out on 124, and we would drive through White's, and those guys, we knew some of those guys because we played against them, and they would tell us, oh, we're working on the farm and we're doing this, we're supposed to be, shoveling cow crap and doing this and that, but here we are standing here talking to you.
Yeah.
You guys got time to sit here and talk to us a while?
They're great manipulators.
Oh, yeah.
One of the interesting games that we always had with Whites was we always played boys' school. It's called Plainfield Charlton, and we played them home and home. And so when we went down there, it was a Saturday afternoon, and we would always eat. They would feed us and we would feed them. But their food was shipped in from IYC, Indiana Youth Center, and it was nasty food. I mean, it was terrible. And when they come up to us, they'd eat in our cafeteria, or we'd bring them Penguin Point.
Oh, man.
Because after every home game, we got Penguin Point.
Oh,
We'd go to the canteen and they'd bring in cheeseburgers and they'd have little spreads for the
Sweet.
boys. It was
I
nice.
miss Big Lolly.
No,
Yeah,
no kidding,
yeah.
me too.
So I finally went to Chuck and I said, look, we're feeding them pretty good. Can you talk to their athletic director about the slop that we're getting when we go down there? He said, yeah, I'll take care of it. So I don't know if you ever heard of Clancy's restaurant?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They started taking us to Clancy's. So it was good stuff. Their coach was apologizing. I'm so sorry that we did. But, it was nice. When we go down there, the boys realized how much nicer they had it at White's than at boys' school. Because that was like walking into a prison when you went in there. I mean, you walk behind it and the door would close and it would close hard and lock. And you would hear it,
Yeah.
And
What
I said,
was
just
it?
remember that, guys.
Wow.
You guys were getting ready to go down and play, and I asked one of the kids, I said, now, who you guys got this week? It's the deaf versus the
Oh,
dumb."
yeah. But that was another game. We played the Indiana Deaf School. And I always teased the boys that week. Yeah, it's a deaf versus a dumb this week.
Oh, that's harsh.
But it was
Ouch.
it was so hard to coach down there because you can't communicate with their coach very well because he was deaf. The players were deaf.
You could call him anything you wanted.
Well,
They read lips.
Notice he
Fritz.
thinks some things
I
like
know.
that.
But I forgot that the refs could still hear. And my last game coaching down there, I got tossed. And I got tossed. The comment I made to the ref was, "Hey, I know we're playing the deaf, but are you dumb?"
Why'd they throw him out?
And it was just, and it wasn't one, it was 1, 2, 3, gone. So it was a night game, and I'm in the locker room. I thought, man, I got a whole half to go through sitting in here. I called my daughter, Heather, and said, hey, I just got tossed. we just started talking a little bit. But Chuck Gaither told me when they played him in football, and they come up here and played him in football, and they had a bass drum on the sideline. And they would bang the drum for their cadence, like if it was supposed to be on 2, they'd go boom, boom, and they'd hike it on 2. So Chuck thought, I'll just call out my defense, shift to the left. He'd just yell out shift left. He'd yell out shift left. Half their line would shift over. He's like, I'm not sure they're completely deaf. He said, some of them are still here.
There was a kid, when I was in school here at Wabash, there was a kid who was considered deaf. And he went to the deaf school, and he was a scholar student, but he was like that. He could hear you, but he couldn't. He was legally deaf.
Sure. But, yeah, that was always a different game. And when they came up here, it was different. And we did the same thing with them. We'd buy them Penguin Point and let them eat with us. I always wanted our kids to see you're not as bad off as some people are. You may think you got it so rough here at White's, but here, how would you like to be deaf for the rest of your life? And go to boys' school. How'd you like to be at boys' school? That's the next step to ending up in prison.
Right. Hey, speaking of your daughter Heather.
Yeah.
All those years that I was at the Y, and your daughter and her husband would sign up the kids to play soccer.
Yeah. They still do.
Now I understand why you were coaching soccer. I never knew you coached soccer.
Yeah. I did it for 5 years. Hated every minute of it. Our claim to fame, though, we beat Marion High School on their field 2-1.
Oh.
Yeah. But that was their first year of having soccer. The next year they drilled us. And then we dropped them.
I remember when I first started teaching there, that first year that Chuck came in and said, you have to help at some of these events and stuff. I said, hey, no problem, get to know the kids and all that stuff. And he says, well, I got you doing a soccer game. I said, I don't know anything that much about soccer. He said, run the clock. He says, you turn it off, let it run for a minute and a half, or
it's like 45 minutes.
45 minutes.
For a half.
When zeros, honk the horn and do it again. He says even you can figure that out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get it done?
Yeah.
Where our kids always got
Little help.
confused in soccer was you can be in an offside position and yet you're not offsides. That always confused them.
And I watched my grandson play soccer.
Yeah.
It still confuses me.
Well, but the good teams, they would do very good at it. They would just all of a sudden you're in that offside position, but they would just take a step up, and now you're offside.
That was my first year there. I think Ed was your goalie.
Yes, yeah, I had a good goalie. 6'5".
And they were good, 6'5",
hard
and
to
he
get
could
by
move and jump.
Yep.
I mean, very few goals were scored against the Warriors.
Yeah. I used to play Bethany Christian, Fort Wayne Blackhawk Christian. I'm thinking of soccer teams that we played. Fort Wayne Christian. Marion Bennett was there.
That was a big rivalry then, too.
Oh, Marion Bennett was big when Bob Bennett was the basketball coach there. We had a good relationship. Yeah, we had a good relationship, but very, very, very competitive. He hated to lose to me, and I hated to lose to him.
And see, that's to me was the misnomer for years in the middle there, because when they, I'll use that word again, de-emphasize sports, at least for us from the outside.
Yeah, sure, I can see that perception.
Okay, so now Larry Vaughn, who I know really well and know how competitive he is, all of a sudden he's coaching a team that's not competitive and isn't going to be. It really wasn't the case.
No, we were trying to be competitive. We were trying to compete. It was just at a lower level as far as the teams that we were going to play. Fort Wayne Canterbury is one that I think of when Joe Santa was the basketball coach there, and we used to have some really
Speaking of
good
lifelong
games.
friends.
Yeah, with them. But I look at them now, and man, there's no way we could compete with Fort Wayne Canterbury.
They're special.
Yeah.
Joe will call me
Fort
up.
Wayne Blackhawk too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff
Yeah.
Kowach was the coach. I went to school with Jeff at Grace, and now there's just no way that whites could compete with them.
Wow. It's like, I don't know, just the world changes. It's
Oh, yeah.
like it switches.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, and even our schooling out at White's now has changed, where it used to be when Steve and I were there, I taught health, I taught phys ed. We had all the subjects, and we had 6 periods a day, and the kids rotated every 50 minutes per class. Now all their learning is online.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And it's the best thing they could do for these kids because of their short stay. Because let's say, for instance, we get a kid coming in like right now, March. So if I was teaching health, we're in the second half of the book, and this kid's just coming in. He doesn't have the first 13 chapters that we went through, so he's lost. And so what they do now is when a kid comes in, we look at the credits that he has, and we see what he needs to graduate. We plug in those classes, go to work.
How does a
And
kid end up
that's
at, how does a
genius
kid
too.
actually end up at White's? What's the procedure? What's he have to do?
Which has
He or
changed.
she?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's still the same from a school standpoint. If there's a lot of truancy, skipping school,
Mhm.
that gets you on the radar.
So who sends them to you?
The counties, like
Okay.
the probation officers,
Okay,
they're probably on probation in their county,
okay,
and then it'll get to the point where they say, look, you need to go somewhere, and we're going to send you to White's.
okay.
And so, like I said, when they come in, and my job when I was finishing up, I had a computer right in front of me, and I would monitor. And my class, we had so many core classes. Okay, we had 3 boys core classes, and they were full for them. There was 15 in a class. So the boys that got in trouble in those classes, they came to me, and so I was called the alternative class for boys. And so the
You
boys
just don't look the part. Larry. You just don't.
So they would come to me, and so I had them all day. They didn't rotate. They were with me all day. So I thought, oh man, we can't do this all day. So I took them to the gym twice a day. So we'd work for an hour in the morning, and like I said, I'd have their classes in front of me, and they'd have to get so many assignments done, and I would help them. I had a helper next door to me who was really good at math, and I'm terrible at math. And if they were stuck on math, I'd say, go see her, and then come back when you're done. And so then we'd go to the gym. And when we were in the gym, they could shoot baskets, and they could go in the weight room and lift weights, and have a chance just to unwind a little bit, and then come back, go another hour, and it'd be lunch. We do the same thing in the afternoon. So that really helped. There was kids trying to get in trouble so that they could come down to my class because they wanted to go to the gym twice a day.
Oh, man.
So, but some of the stories then in the gym. Now, the big thing at White's now is vaping. It's not. It
Yeah.
used to be smoking, and now it's vaping, and it's harder to catch the vapors. So when we go to the gym, we had just a 1-room restroom, and the boys would say, hey, I got to go to the restroom, and I would unlock it, and they could go. So we'd be in the classroom, and I'd start getting a list. Hey, coach, when we get to the gym, I got to go. I'm like, how do you know that now? And all of a sudden, there's 3 or 4, and I was like, somebody got a vape. And so we'd get over there and have the list. So I'd interrupt the list. After the second one, I'm like, I got to go. And so I'd go in and I'd search and I'd find it, and I'd put it in my pocket and come out. Whoever was the last one in, I'd just blame them because you were the last one in. It might not have been yours, but
Right.
you were the last one in.
No.
And so then they got to the point where, Coach, when are you going to go?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. I'm old. You just never know when I'm going to have to go.
Might be every 15 minutes, might be every
Yeah,
2 hours.
Yeah. So, but even in that, we try to give incentives for the classroom. For my class, if we had a point system, everybody had a point system, and that was their behavior points, and that was based. Then they would have a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 from the cottages. And so in the classroom, you could get 25 points a class. And if my guys got perfect points for the week, didn't lose any points, I'd buy them a pop.
Yeah.
And
That's a big deal to them.
that was
probably.
huge.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
20-ounce pop, that was huge,
Yeah.
And then every so often, if we went so many weeks with perfect points. Well, I'm sorry, nobody had Friday school because there's no school on Fridays at White's. And
Yeah, we used to have some of them come down to the Y on Fridays.
Yeah,
In the
yeah,
gym, do
yeah.
whatever.
so there's no school on Fridays. So if we wouldn't have, but if you had bad points to the point where you had to come in on Friday and sit with the dean of students, that was big. So we would go, on the board I put like 1 week, nobody in Friday school, 2 weeks. If we went 11 weeks in a row, then I bring in donuts and milk for them. And that was a big thing.
Incentives worked really
Oh,
well
they do.
with those
They do.
kids, because
Yeah.
they've never had that, you
Yeah.
know. and
Okay.
They had very few pats on the back, because
Yeah.
they didn't, you know.
So did they tend to start policing themselves then? Hey, we want to get the incentive, so.
They know how to play the game, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, and then if a kid was messing up, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I want my,
Understood.
I
there
want
was
my
peer
pop
pressure.
Friday.
Yeah.
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 And then there were some that came in, they had lost it. Because sometimes they're not in class to begin, which meant they were across the street meeting with their counselor. And if they got bad news from the counselor, like, hey, you just got 3 months added to you, or you're not getting your home visit this weekend, they come back a mess. And they would call me and say, hey, so-and-so's probably gonna be a mess when he gets back. I said, thanks.
Yeah.
I can remember coming in one, it happened more than once, but like come in to interview Steve and some kid would go, you need to go see Mr. Gibson. No, not Mr. Gibson. You need to go see Mr. Gibson.
Yeah.
That's a tough job. I admire you
Oh,
for
yeah,
taking it on,
absolutely.
because
And I'm telling you, between the two of you guys, I watched these guys in action. Now, I didn't know all of what Larry's just told us, or what
Yeah.
the two of them told us, but it's a tough job.
Well, I know
It is
for,
a
I
very
know
tough
now for a fact I could have never done it.
Mm.
Now, when I first retired, I wanted to do something, and Jeff Adamson called me, who's the assistant principal at Eastbrook and the head football coach. He said, well, why don't you substitute teach? We need somebody almost every day. Well, I said, what do you pay? He told me, he said, yeah, I'll do that. That's easy money. Worst job I ever had in my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I hated it. I had no patience for these guys.
Well, and see, that's the first thing, Mike McDivitt's the principal out at White's now, and he said, hey, will you sub for us? I said, no way. He said, why not? I said, Mike, right now, everybody still knows me as Coach Vaughn. I have that clout. I have that, this is the way it is. But 3 months from now, all these kids are new.
A new group.
They don't know me from Adam. They just see this old man walking in, and they're not gonna listen to me. You know, it's gonna be, it would be a struggle.
Well,
Yep.
a couple of things. This is how bad I was at that job. First of all, the first class they gave me was the ag kids, the farm kids. And that's okay, I relate to them.
Yeah.
But I get a girl
Only if they
coming up-
raise horses.
This one girl keeps coming up to my desk, and when I first of all, I said, do what you normally do, just be quiet, I'm just gonna sit here. I got nothing, you don't have to do anything, just be quiet, stay out of trouble. That was my only rule. That never worked.
Those 2 words, be quiet.
Yeah.
This girl comes up to my desk and she says, hey, what's his name over here? I don't remember his name. He's got a knife on him. I said, what kind of knife? She said, a pocket knife. I said, so what? Leave me alone.
Trying to watch the
She
game.
comes back 3 or 4 times and I said, look, I don't care that he has a pocket. That's fine. It's okay. Apparently she got to send a message to Coach Adamson. I get a call about 5 minutes later, and he goes, hey, Rick. I said, yeah. He said, getting a report you got a kid in your class with a knife. I said, yeah, what's the deal? I said, it's a pocket knife. I said, I have one in my pocket every day at school. He said, can't do that anymore, Rick. Got to confiscate it. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I did. Had to confiscate the knife.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the other thing was, they gave me the kids that were in, what do you call it, detention, I guess, in trouble. The old planetarium at Eastbrook is now the place for all the kids. They gave me that class one day. And about halfway, and they tell me, just keep them quiet. They can't use their phones. They better not have any phones. I said, okay. Well, I'm not going to strip search anybody. I just let them come in and sit down, and about an hour later, I hear sirens, I see red lights.
Oh,
I look outside and there's fire trucks
Oh, my
and
goodness.
sheriff's deputy cars, 10 or 12 of them. I took a mine. I had a knock on my door. I looked out there, Jeff's there, and he you need to keep your kids in there. We're on lockdown until this gets clear. I said, what's going on? He said, we've had a bomb threat. I said, oh, really? I said, who the heck let that happen? He said, came from your room, right?
Oops. Yeah.
I said, you gotta be kidding me. I said, how? And he said, they called it in. I said, they're not supposed to have phones. He said, you're supposed to make sure they don't have phones.
Yeah,
So at the end of that day, did he hand you a check and say,
Yeah,
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, Bill.
I was horrible at it.
Wow.
That's different.
At my retirement party from the Y, Mike Kefever, who was on the board at the time, sidled up to me and he goes, man, I got a deal for you. I said, what? And he says, we need substitute bus drivers, we need substitute teachers. I said, Mike, that's not for me. That's not for me. I'm not doing it.
But one more story about that. This isn't funny, but it is funny to me. Jeff was a prankster, Jeff Adelson. I had the ag class again. About halfway through class, I get a knock on the door, and one of the female students walks in, and she hands me a note. She said, Coach Adelson, Mr. Adelson, sent me down here to give this to you. He said, go ahead and read it, and if you have any questions, just go see him after class. So I open up the note, and I don't read it out loud. He goes, Rick, Coach, I'm just going to ruin the story. What's the guy at Penn State?
Return
The guy got in trouble.
Oh.
Sandusky.
Oh, say,
Coach Sandusky would like to meet you in the locker room after class. I forgot his name. Yeah, and he said, Coach Sandusky would like to see you in the locker room after class. See, it's funny, but it's not funny.
It's not funny.
But that's what he was doing to me, making my life even more miserable. Sending kids in with notes like that.
So seriously, which one got rid of who? Did you quit or did he get rid of you?
Yeah, mutual.
Mutual.
I'm not going to let him have the honor of firing me.
It's funny you mentioned Mike Kefever. Mike was a principal of White's
right?
for some time, and man, I didn't like him as principal. He always took the kid's side.
Yeah.
Really?
He never took the teacher's side, and I used to give him a hard time. I'd go in and I'd say, Mike, just once, would you be on our side? And yeah. And then he became superintendent. I thought, oh my goodness, he's going to be superintendent. And he did a great job.
Oh, he did.
He did.
Fantastic job.
And you know what?
as
I
superintendent.
remember when that all happened, and the credit to Mike.
Yeah.
When that happened, there were all these people, he's too nice. There's
Yes,
no way
yes,
he'll
that's
make
what I
it.
thought, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they'll eat him alive.
Yeah.
My gosh, they did not.
Yeah, I was amazed.
Mhm.
And yeah,
I remember I broke up a fight up there by the office one time, and I mean, I had to get pretty strong with the kid, get him down and stuff. The rest of you kids get out here and all that. Well, he was out there, he went to his office, and finally he called me down, and he said something about being rough with those kids, and I said, well, they're strong, but I used the technique we'd been taught here and stuff like that, and he
did
says,
you really?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Pretty
Everyone's
close. Pretty close.
Depends on who was watching.
There might have been an accident here or there.
And anyway, he just said, well, but all those kids are out in the hallway watching that. And I said, good.
Yeah.
I said, they know if they get out there, they're going to get their butts kicked too. Yeah. But that wasn't his vision of it.
Yeah. I mean, that was the comment I made to him in the office. I said, Mike, there's two sides. And he said, Larry, there's two sides to every story. I said, you're right. I said, would you just take the teacher's side every now and again?
But I can remember back in the 70s, health class, freshman, high school. And Chris Rude was the teacher. And remember, he wasn't a real big guy, but he was muscular. And health class, boys and girls, and this is back when it was controversial to have all, he taught it, he did in my eyes, did a great job. Kudos from the school board, the whole 9 yards. But I was in a class where two hoodlums, were trying to disrupt things or whatever, and he walked up, they were sitting side by side. He walked up, and remember those desks that we had, everybody had them, where you could only get in and out of one side.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
He walked up and kicked those desks over, kicked them over so that they couldn't get out. He drugged them out of there,
Oh, wow.
down the hallway like
Yeah.
this.
2 of them.
Yeah. Now, we were
That's all.
freshmen in high school, and we, as, you know, we were like, you know, wow, I can't believe he did that. Now, we were little skinny kids, so,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But those were 2 guys that we weren't gonna mess with, and he did. And we're like, whoa.
I
Shouldn't
saw,
do
I
that
sent a
now.
message.
Yeah, send a message.
I
When
saw,
nobody
I
messed
saw
up after
Coach
that.
Hepner do the same thing.
Yeah, I think you told me
Yeah.
about that.
Hey,
I remember my.
I'm sorry. Fear of the Lord's the beginning of all knowledge, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Early in my first year at White's, I'd been at Oak Hill 10 years, and Larry and I were in the gym together. Well, a fight broke out at the other end of the gym. So I started going kind of pretty fast down there. I'm going to get it. I get clothesline.
I hold him back.
I knew that was gonna be.
Let him throw a few.
He said, let him go a few, let him wear down a little bit.
Yep, before we get
There
there.
he's just restrained.
That's a
Experience.
veteran
That's
move right
experience.
there.
You bet. That's a veteran move, Jim. Well, guys, thanks. I knew this would be good.
Oh,
I knew this would be good.
I'm surprised.
You wanna join this panel, you're more than
Oh, no, thank you.
welcome. Next month, we have, you ready for this?
Mhm.
Next month, we have Terry Seidel.
Oh,
wow.
baby.
I've seen him a couple times at these robotics things.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
He'll text me or call me every once in a while.
Ask one question and he'll take over the rest.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the easiest interview ever. Him and Tonsoni.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah.
20 minutes later, you're going,
Sit back and relax.
yeah.
Just as a lead into this, Larry, talking about Bill's big old soft heart, we're all doing the championship game.
Oh,
In
geez,
Southwood
here we
Lawn.
go.
And of course, Bill's always the lead. I'm the follow-in color guy. And when they were doing the awards, Bill's announced, "Hey, there goes so and so to get his award." And there goes Coach. It's like, oh, his son.
And of course, we're on the radio, and I'm like,
he stopped. So I got to jump in there because
Yeah.
I remember Bill Rogie when he would do it
Mhm.
on the radio. And he was at the sectional.
Oh,
You remember this?
yes.
He would always say about, and there's so and so and his lovely wife, and he's like, and there's so and so with. Oh, wait, that's not his wife.
yeah.
Oh.
That happened more than once. That happened more than once.
Well, my first time we met Jim Dandy's there, and he gave me the mic, and
Yeah.
I thought he was going to ask me questions, and I'm talking, I'm getting
Yeah,
done.
he's
Look,
talking over
he's
here.
getting his food.
Yeah. Like Bill.
The old buffet.
hey, we used to eat really well at those high
Yeah,
school
we
games.
did.
did.
All
Wow, we
the
did.
Yeah.
Hospitality rooms,
Too
was that
good.
good?
Oh,
Too
I mean, there was the reputation. Miss Egan at Southwood, she had the spread, baby.
Mhm.
Oh.
We knew if we had a Southwood game on the schedule, we were in.
You can get a good meal.
Beth Egan. Well, Larry, thanks for
Well,
joining
thank
us.
you. I appreciate it. That was fun.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it.
We may have
Enjoyed
to do a follow-up at some
it.
point.
Okay. Get more questions.
Yep. All right.
Well, hats off to you guys and a lot of respect, man, for what
Thank
you've
you.
done.
Thank you.
That's,
Well, like I said,
so
I want to see all these coaches think they're something big, to come to White's and win 100 games.
Well, the IBCA, Indiana Basketball Coaches Association, that's a big deal.
Yep, it
to get
is.
100 games.
You
I,
bet.
I was so close. I thought, man, I'd love to get 100, and finally got it done. And they honor you at the clinic.
That's
And
cool.
you got a
Good.
shower
Good.
on the way out. Is
Yeah,
that Emmanuel? And I
yeah,
got
yeah.
all the kids' water bottles when they walked
Really?
out.
They doused me.
That's cool.
Loved every minute of it.
That's awesome.
Sure you did. Yeah.
So, well, again, thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks
We
for inviting
appreciate
me.
it.
Yep. Appreciate it.
For Jim, Rick, Steve, myself, and Larry Vaughn, thanks for joining us. We will be back. We'll do the same thing again next month, and we'll have Terry Seidel sitting in the hot
In
seat.
the hot seat.
Yep. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you, Alec.